The communication centers across the galaxy hummed with their usual activity. Thousands of worlds sent their messages through the void. Trade agreements, news broadcasts, scientific data, and casual chatter filled the networks that connected civilized space. For 300 years, Earth had been one of the loudest voices in this cosmic conversation. Humans talked constantly, sharing everything from their music to their mathematics. Then, in a single moment, Earth went silent. The shift happened so suddenly that most species didn't notice at first. Communication Officer Tay sat in his station on Mars Colony, reviewing supply reports when his screen flickered. The green indicators showing Earth's active channels turned red, one after another. He leaned forward, thinking it was a system error. He ran diagnostics. Nothing was wrong with his equipment. "Commander," he called out to his superior. "I'm showing complete signal loss from Earth." His commander walked over, frowning at the screen. "All channels? Every single one. Broadcasting, civilian communications, military frequencies, satellite relay, everything." Tay's fingers moved quickly across his controls. It's like someone flipped a switch and turned off the entire planet. Across the solar system, other human colonies noticed the same thing. On Europa, Dr. Yoon-hee was analyzing ice samples when her assistant rushed into the lab. The research station had lost contact with their headquarters in Geneva. No response to messages. No automatic data uploads. Nothing. At the Galactic Council station, Ambassador Quan was in the middle of a boring trade negotiation with an insect-like alien species when his personal communicator vibrated. He glanced down at the message from his aide. "Earth offline. All channels dark." He excused himself and hurried to his private office. Quan tried every channel he knew. His official government links were dead. His personal connection to his family was silent. He attempted to reach his sister Na, who worked as a teacher in Seoul. The last message from her sat in his inbox, sent 3 hours ago. It was brief. "They're here. We're going dark. Protocol 7. He stared at those words. Protocol 7. His hands started shaking. He was an ambassador, privy to many classified programs, but he had never heard of Protocol 7. What did it mean? Who were they? And why would Earth go completely dark? The Galactic Council convened an emergency session within hours. Representatives from 200 species gathered in the Great Chamber. The chairman, a tall being with purple skin and 4 arms, called for order. "We have lost all contact with Earth," the chairman announced. "Our sensors show no electromagnetic activity from the planet. No radio, no light from cities, nothing. We are sending this council's investigation team to determine what has happened." Ambassador Quan stood. "I request permission to join that team." "Denied," the chairman said. "We don't know if this is a threat to Earth or from Earth. You will remain here until we understand the situation." That was when the Vorathi representative stood. The Vorathi were a militaristic species, always hungry for more territory. Their empire had been pressuring Earth for decades to give up some of their colony worlds. Humans had refused every demand. "Perhaps Earth has finally fallen to some catastrophe," the Vorathi representative said, his voice carrying false sympathy. "The humans were always reckless with their technology. If Earth is truly gone, their colonies and territories should be distributed among species who can properly manage them." Quan felt rage burn in his chest, but he kept his voice level. "Earth is not gone. And I suggest you wait for facts before making such suggestions." The Vorathi representative smiled, showing too many teeth. "Of course, Ambassador. We would never take advantage of such a tragedy. We merely plan for all possibilities." The Council's investigation ship arrived at Earth 2 days later. Their reports were transmitted back immediately. Earth appeared completely dead from orbit. No satellites responded. No ships moved in the space around the planet. The defensive stations were dark and cold. Surface scans showed no heat signatures from cities. No power generation. No movement at all. But there was no sign of attack either. No debris fields from destroyed ships. No radiation signatures from weapons. No craters on the surface. Earth cities stood intact, but empty and dark. 8 billion humans had simply vanished. On Mars, Commander Tay called a meeting with his senior staff. He had finally accessed the encrypted military network, entering codes he had hoped never to use. What he found there made his blood run cold. "Listen carefully," he told his officers. "I've just received classified orders from Earth Defense Command. They were sent automatically the moment Earth went dark." He paused, looking at each face around the table. Earth hasn't fallen to an enemy. Earth has initiated something called the Silent Protocol. "What does that mean?" his second officer asked. Tay's jaw tightened. "It means Earth is bait. Everyone on the planet has gone underground into prepared shelters. They made the planet look abandoned on purpose. They're waiting for something." "Andy, waiting for what? For someone to make a mistake," Tay said quietly. "For someone to think Earth is defenseless and try to take it." On Europa Station, Dr. Yun-hai made her own discovery. She had been working on quantum communication systems, theoretical research that her superiors said was decades away from practical use. But when she accessed her research files, she found they had been updated. Someone on Earth had completed her work. The mathematics she had struggled with for years were solved. The technology she thought was impossible had been built. The applications terrified her. If her research was complete, it meant Earth could communicate instantly across any distance, bypassing normal space entirely. More than that, anything sent through quantum channels could arrive anywhere, instantly. Messages or weapons. She sat in her lab, staring at the equations on her screen. Earth hadn't just gone silent to hide. Earth had gone somewhere else, to a place where the galaxy couldn't see or hear them. They were still there, watching, waiting, existing in a state between visible and invisible. The Vorathi didn't wait long to show their intentions. Within a week of Earth's silence, their empire declared that the human homeworld had been abandoned and was therefore forfeit under galactic law. They assembled their fleet, 300 warships strong, the largest military force ever gathered for a single operation. Ambassador Quan sent a desperate message to the Vorathi flagship. "Please, don't do this. You don't understand what you're approaching. Leave Earth alone." The Vorathi commander replied with contempt. "We understand perfectly, human. Your world is empty. Your species has fled like cowards. We will take what you left behind." Quan tried one more time. "I'm begging you. Whatever you think Earth is now, you're wrong. Turn your fleet around. Turn. Turn." There was no response. The Vorathi fleet set course for Earth. Quan sent a single word to Mars, Europa, Titan, and all the human colonies. Witness. In his quarters, he sat in darkness and prayed to gods he wasn't sure he believed in. He prayed that the Vorathi would somehow see sense and turn back. He prayed that whatever Protocol 7 meant, it wouldn't be as terrible as he feared. But deep down, he knew the truth. Earth hadn't gone silent because they were afraid. Earth went silent because they had become something that didn't need to speak. Something that only needed to wait. The galaxy would soon learn what 8 billion silent humans could do when they stopped talking and started acting. The message arrived simultaneously at every human colony across the solar system and beyond. Mars received it. Europa received it. The mining stations on Titan, the research outposts on Ganymede, the agricultural domes on Ceres, and the deep space colony at Alpha Centauri all received the same transmission at the exact same moment. It was impossible, of course. Light speed shouldn't allow that. Messages took minutes to cross the inner solar system, hours to reach the outer planets, and years to reach Alpha Centauri. Yet every human installation received this message at the same instant, as if distance meant nothing at all. The message was brief. Silent protocol engaged. Await signal. Do not attempt contact. On Mars, Commander Tay read the message 3 times. His colony housed 50,000 people, most of them civilians. Families. Children. They had all seen the news about Earth going dark. People were scared. They wanted to know if their relatives back home were safe. Tay had been trying to figure out how to calm them down. Now he realized calming them was impossible. The truth was too big, too frightening. He called an emergency meeting with his senior staff in the secure conference room. When everyone arrived, he sealed the door and activated the privacy shields that blocked all recording devices. "I need to tell you something that cannot leave this room," he began. 3 years ago, I was briefed on a classified program called the Silent Protocol. At the time, I thought it was just theoretical planning, the kind of doomsday scenario that military officers prepare for but never expect to use. His second officer, Lieutenant Young, leaned forward. "And now? Now it's real. Earth hasn't fallen to an enemy. This is intentional." Tay brought up a holographic display showing Earth. Every major city on Earth has underground bunkers that can hold the entire population. These aren't simple shelters. They're self-sustaining habitats that can support people for years if necessary. The surface cities were evacuated completely. Right now, 8 billion humans are underground, invisible to any orbital scan. "Why?" someone asked. "Why make it look like we abandoned Earth?" Tay's expression was grim. "Because Earth is now a trap. The protocol assumes that if humanity faces extinction-level threat, hiding Earth's population is the first step. The second step is waiting to see who tries to take advantage of our apparent weakness." Dr. Yunhai had reached similar conclusions on Europa. She sat in her small office, staring at her research files. The quantum communication breakthrough wasn't just for messages. She had finally understood what her completed equations really meant. She called her assistant, a young man named Dong, into her office. She said, pointing to her screen, "These calculations show how to create a quantum tunnel through space-time. Not for communication, for physical transport." Dong studied the numbers. His face went pale. "You mean like a weapon? Something that could be fired from Earth and arrive anywhere in the galaxy instantly?" "Not just fired from Earth," Yunhye said softly. "Fired from underground. From places that orbital scans can't detect. If someone landed on Earth right now, they'd think the planet was empty and defenseless. They'd never know that beneath their feet, humanity was aiming weapons that could strike their homeworld before they even realized what was happening." The implications made her sick. This wasn't defensive technology. This was revenge technology. This was the kind of weapon you built when you decided that if your species went extinct, you'd take your enemies with you. At the Galactic Council Station, Ambassador Quan was forbidden from returning to human space. The Council claimed it was for his protection. But he knew the truth. They were keeping him hostage, a guarantee that the human colonies wouldn't do anything aggressive while Earth's status remained unknown. He spent his days trying to reach anyone who would listen. Most species were waiting to see what the Vorathi would find when they reached Earth. Some species expressed sympathy. Others, like the reptilian sect, openly discussed dividing human territories once Earth was confirmed abandoned. Quan's sister Na had sent that final message. "They're here. We're going dark." Protocol 7. He had researched every database he could access, but found no reference to Protocol 7 anywhere. Whatever it was, the classification level was beyond even an ambassador's clearance. Late one night, he received an anonymous message on his personal device. It contained a single file, heavily encrypted. It took him hours to break the encryption. And when he did, he found a document labeled Silent Protocol. Implementation Guide. He read through it twice. Then he sat in darkness, trying to process what his species had become capable of. The Vorathi fleet was 3 days from Earth when Commander Tay received new orders through the encrypted military network. He read them in private, then called his tactical officers to the command center. "The Vorathi are going to reach Earth," he said. "When they do, they'll land occupation forces. They'll think they've claimed an empty planet. We need to be ready for what happens next. Ready for what? Lieutenant Young asked. Tay activated a star map. It showed the location of every Vorathi colony world, every military base, every major population center. We're going to attack all of them simultaneously. Not just our fleet here at Mars. Every human colony has hidden military assets. Ships concealed in asteroid fields, weapons platforms disguised as mining stations, and strike teams that have been in position for months. Young stared at the map. How long has this been planned? Years, Tay admitted. The silent protocol isn't just about Earth. It's about making sure that if someone tries to destroy humanity, we take them down completely. No half measures. No leaving enemies alive to try again. On Europa, Dr. Yoon Hye discovered that her research station had more than just laboratories. Deep beneath the ice, hidden from all sensors, was a weapons facility. She found it by accident, following some inconsistent power readings. When she accessed the restricted area, using her emergency clearance codes, she found herself in a massive chamber filled with quantum artillery. The weapons were already powered up, already targeting coordinates across the galaxy. Vorathi worlds. All of them. A recorded message played when she entered. It was from her own research director, recorded months ago. Dr. Yoon, if you're seeing this, the silent protocol is active. Your research was never meant to be theoretical. We needed it to work. And thanks to you, it does. What you're looking at are the results of your genius. I'm sorry we couldn't tell you the truth. She sat down on the cold floor, her legs too weak to hold her. She had built weapons of mass destruction without even knowing it. Her beautiful mathematics, her elegant theories about quantum space, had been turned into tools of annihilation. Back on Mars, Commander Tay prepared his people for what was coming. He gathered the entire colony in the main dome and told them the truth. Earth wasn't dead. Earth was waiting. And soon, very soon, the galaxy would understand what it meant to threaten humanity. Some people cried, some people cheered. Most just sat in stunned silence, trying to process the idea that their whole species had been preparing for this moment. The Vorathi fleet reached Earth orbit right on schedule. 300 warships, the pride of their empire, positioning themselves around the blue planet. Their commander sent a triumphant message to the Galactic Council. Earth is ours. We see no resistance, no defense, no sign of human presence. We are beginning landing operations. Ambassador Quan watched the transmission with other council members. Many species looked pleased, happy to see the aggressive humans finally brought down. The SEC representative was already proposing how to divide human territory. Quan stood and walked to the center of the council chamber. His voice was steady, but his eyes were sad. I want everyone here to remember this moment. Remember that you did nothing while the Vorathi invaded an apparently defenseless world. Remember that you celebrated it. The chairman waved dismissively. Sit down, Ambassador. Earth was abandoned. The Vorathi are simply claiming unclaimed territory. Earth was never abandoned, Quan said. And now, you'll all learn what the silent protocol really means. He returned to his seat and sent a message to Mars, to Europa, to every human colony. It's time. Show them what we are. Across human space, military forces that had been hiding in the dark activated their systems. Ships powered up. Weapons came online. Strike teams moved into position. The trap was set. The Vorathi had walked right into it. And now, the galaxy would witness what happens when you mistake human silence for human weakness. The Vorathi fleet hung in orbit around Earth, like vultures circling a corpse. 300 warships, each one carrying thousands of soldiers, all waiting for the order to descend. Fleet Commander Gorth stood on his flagship's bridge, looking down at the blue and green planet below. Beautiful world, he said to his officers. And now it belongs to the Vorathi Empire. His tactical officer ran another scan. Still no energy signatures from the surface commander. No power generation. No heat from cities. No electromagnetic activity. The planet appears completely abandoned. Gorth smiled. The humans had run away, leaving their precious homeworld behind. It proved what he had always believed. Humans were weak. They talked big, acted tough, but when real danger came, they fled like frightened animals. "Begin landing operations," he ordered. "Send troops to all major cities. I want full occupation of this planet within 24 hours." The first landing ships descended through Earth's atmosphere. They targeted the biggest cities: New York, London, Tokyo, Seoul, Mumbai, Sao Paulo. Hundreds of transport ships, each carrying battle-ready soldiers, approaching carefully in case of hidden defenses. But no defenses appeared. No weapons fired at them. No missiles rose to meet them. The ships landed without incident in empty city streets. In Seoul, Vorathi soldiers marched through silent streets. Their boots echoed on empty pavement. Cars sat parked neatly along roads. Traffic lights still worked, changing colors for traffic that didn't exist. Store windows displayed merchandise that no one was buying. Everything looked normal, except there were no people anywhere. "This is strange," a Vorathi squad leader reported to his commander. "The city isn't destroyed. It's just empty. Food in the markets is still fresh. Computers in offices are in sleep mode, like people just walked away from their desks." Similar reports came from every landing site. Tokyo looked like everyone had simply vanished midday. London's streets were clean and quiet. New York's skyscrapers stood tall and undamaged, but completely empty. It was as if 8 billion humans had been erased from existence in a single moment. The Vorathi soldiers began to feel uneasy. Some reported a strange sensation of being watched. Others said the silence felt wrong, too complete, too perfect. Several soldiers requested permission to return to orbit, claiming the empty cities made them nervous. Commander Gorth dismissed their concerns as cowardice. "Secure the planet," he ordered. "Start setting up our occupation infrastructure. This world is ours now." He sent a message to the Vorathi Emperor back on their homeworld. "Mission accomplished. Earth is claimed. No resistance encountered. The human threat is finished." The Emperor was pleased. He immediately began making plans to relocate Vorathi colonists to Earth. Such a beautiful planet shouldn't go to waste. Within a generation, Vorathi families would be living in human cities, and the memory of humanity would fade into history. But in Seoul, in those empty streets where Vorathi soldiers patrolled, something happened that no one above ground could see. Deep beneath the city, in bunkers that extended kilometers underground, humans were watching everything. Cameras hidden in buildings tracked every Vorathi soldier. Sensors monitored every landing ship, and in the central command center, President Bo Young watched the invasion unfold on a wall of screens. "They're completely deployed," reported her military advisor. "All their ground forces are on the surface. Their fleet is in standard occupation formation. They're not expecting any resistance," Alder said. 2. Their fleet in 2022. 2. Their fleet in 2022. Bo Young looked tired. She was an older woman who had spent 30 years in government service. She had never wanted to give this order. But the Vorathi had made their choice. "How long has Earth been dark?" she asked. 24 hours exactly," her advisor replied. Bo Young nodded slowly. "Then it's time. Activate the signal." In a secure facility buried under the Pacific Ocean, technicians activated a quantum transmitter. It sent a pulse of energy that didn't travel through normal space. Instead, it moved through the quantum realm, arriving everywhere in the galaxy at the exact same moment. Every human colony received the signal. Every hidden human ship, every weapons platform, every strike team that had been waiting in the dark for weeks. The message was simple. Execute, silent protocol, full authorization, no mercy. Commander Tay on Mars received the signal. He had been dreading this moment. But he had also prepared for it. He stood in his command center, surrounded by his officers, and gave the orders he had hoped he would never give. Launch all ships, weapons free, target coordinates are already programmed. Every Vorathi military installation, every colony world, every supply depot. Hit them simultaneously. The hidden ships at Mars came to life. They had been concealed in the asteroid belt for months, disguised as mining vessels or hidden behind rocks. Their power systems running cold to avoid detection. Now they powered up. Dozens of warships emerging from hiding. The same thing happened across the solar system. Europa released its fleet. Titan's hidden battle group activated. The weapons platforms around Jupiter and Saturn revealed themselves. Ships that the galaxy thought were civilian transports suddenly dropped their disguises and showed their true nature as military vessels. But the real horror was happening on Earth. Commander Gorth was reviewing occupation reports when his tactical officer suddenly shouted, "Commander, energy signatures, millions of them, all over the planet." Gorth rushed to the sensor display. What he saw made no sense. The entire planet was lighting up with energy readings. They were coming from underground, from beneath the oceans, from inside mountains. Massive power sources that had been hidden beneath shielding were suddenly revealing themselves. "What am I looking at?" Gorth demanded. His tactical officer's voice shook. "Sir, those aren't power generators. Those are weapons. All of them. Pointing at us." Earth wasn't empty. Earth was armed. The entire planet had been turned into a gigantic weapon system, and every gun was now aimed at the Vorathi fleet. In Seoul, beneath the streets where Vorathi soldiers patrolled, massive doors opened in the ground. The soldiers looked down in shock as huge weapons emerged from below, rising up through camouflaged hatches. Similar weapons appeared all over the planet. Thousands of them. Tens of thousands. "Get our troops out," Gorth screamed at his communications officer. But it was too late. The trap had been sprung perfectly. On the Vorathi homeworld, the Emperor was celebrating his victory when his military command center detected something impossible. Human ships were appearing in their system. Dozens of them, coming out of quantum jumps directly into orbit around Vorathi colonies. More ships appeared around other Vorathi worlds. The humans had somehow moved entire fleets across vast distances in an instant. The Emperor's celebration turned to panic. "How is this possible? How did they get here so fast?" His chief scientist stared at the sensor data in disbelief. "They're using quantum space manipulation. This technology shouldn't exist. It shouldn't be possible." But Dr. Yunhei's research had made it possible. Her elegant mathematics, turned into weapons technology, had given humanity the ability to strike anywhere in the galaxy instantly. And now, humanity was using that power without hesitation. At Earth, President Bo Young's face appeared on every screen in the Vorathi flagship. Commander Gorth stared at her in shock. Humans were supposed to be gone. Extinct. Vanished. Yet here was their leader, broadcasting from beneath the planet's surface. "Commander Gorth," she said, her voice calm and cold. "Your fleet has 10 minutes to surrender. For every minute you refuse, one of your colony worlds will go dark. Not destroyed. Worse." Gorth tried to sound defiant. "You're bluffing. You don't have the forces to threaten our entire empire." Bo Young's expression didn't change. "We have been preparing for this scenario for 5 years. Every Vorathi world is currently targeted by quantum weapons that were positioned months ago. Your supply lines have been infiltrated with nanite weapons that are activating right now. Your empire's infrastructure is about to learn what humanity does to those who threaten our survival. Timer starts now." The first Vorathi colony went dark after exactly 1 minute. Its power grid failed completely. Its communications stopped. Its defense systems shut down. The colony didn't explode or burn. It simply stopped working, as if someone had turned off a switch. Then the second colony went dark. Then the third. The Vorathi Emperor watched in horror as his empire began to fail. piece by piece, world by world. Nothing was being destroyed, which somehow made it worse. His colonies were being shut down, deactivated, made helpless without a single shot being fired. "How are they doing this?" he screamed at his advisors. No one had an answer. The humans had technology that shouldn't exist, had prepared for this scenario in ways no one had imagined, and were now demonstrating that they could dismantle an entire empire in minutes. Commander Gorth looked at the countdown timer. 8 minutes until his fleet was supposed to surrender. He looked at his tactical displays, showing Vorathi worlds going dark one after another. He looked at the weapons emerging from Earth's surface, all pointing at his ships. He had made a terrible mistake. The humans hadn't abandoned Earth. They had turned it into the perfect trap. And the Vorathi Empire had walked right into it, thinking they were claiming an empty prize. "Open a channel to the human president," Gorth said quietly. His officers stared at him. "Now," he barked. When Bo Young's face appeared again, Gorth found the words hard to say. "We surrender. Please stop the attacks on our colonies." Bo Young nodded once. "Your surrender is accepted. All Vorathi forces will immediately withdraw from Earth and return to your territory. Your empire will be placed under Galactic Council supervision. Your military will be reduced, and you will never threaten humanity again. Is this understood?" "Yes," Gorth whispered. "It's understood." The galaxy was watching. Every species had seen the Vorathi Empire, one of the most powerful military forces in civilized space, brought to its knees in less than 10 minutes by a species they had thought was finished. Earth had gone silent. And in that silence, humanity had shown the galaxy what they were truly capable of. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as humanity revealed what they had become. Every species, with access to long-range sensors or communication networks, could see what was happening. The Vorathi Empire, which had seemed unstoppable just hours before, was collapsing. In the Galactic Council chamber, representatives from 200 species sat frozen in their seats. The massive display screens showed feeds from multiple Vorathi worlds. One by one, colony after colony, the same thing kept happening. Power grids failed. Defense systems shut down. Ships in orbit lost engine power. Nothing exploded. Nothing burned. The technology simply stopped working. Ambassador Quan sat in his seat, watching his fellow council members finally understand, the SEC representative, who had been so eager to divide human territory just yesterday, now looked terrified. The insect-like Threx ambassador was making a clicking sound that Quan recognized as their species' expression of fear. "How is this possible?" the council chairman asked, his forearms trembling. "How did they do this?" "Then. They," Quan stood slowly. He walked to the center of the chamber, and every eye followed him. 5 years ago, the Vorathi Empire began making demands on human territory. They wanted our colonies. They wanted our resources. They made threats. The Galactic Council did nothing to stop them. "We cannot interfere in every dispute," the chairman protested weakly. "No, you can't," Quan agreed. "So, humanity decided to protect ourselves. We spent 5 years preparing for the possibility that someone would try to destroy us. We built weapons. We developed technology. We made plans. And when Earth went silent, it wasn't because we were defeated. It was because we were ready." On Earth's surface, the Vorathi soldiers were being rounded up by human forces that had emerged from underground. Military personnel in advanced combat suits appeared from hidden bunkers, efficiently disarming the confused Vorathi troops. There was no violence. The humans were completely professional, almost cold in their efficiency. In Seoul, a Vorathi soldier named Keth watched as humans emerged from beneath the city. They had been down there the whole time, he realized. Thousands of them, maybe millions. All hiding in bunkers while his people walked through empty streets above. His squad leader had been right. The feeling of being watched wasn't paranoia. They had been watched. Every moment. By an enemy they couldn't see. A human soldier approached Keth. She was young, maybe in her 20s, with dark hair and tired eyes. "Drop your weapon," she said in perfect Vorathi language. "You're being taken into custody. Don't resist, and you won't be harmed." Keth dropped his rifle. "We thought you were gone," he said. "We thought Earth was empty." The human soldier's expression didn't change. "That's what you were supposed to think." President Bo Young sat in the underground command center beneath Seoul, monitoring reports from across the planet. The Vorathi occupation force was being captured, without casualties on either side. Their ships in orbit had surrendered after their commander gave the order. Everything was going according to plan, but she felt no satisfaction. Only sadness. Her military advisor approached. "Madam President, all Vorathi forces on Earth are secured. Their fleet is surrendering ship by ship. Should we allow them to evacuate?" "Yes," Bo Young said. "Take their weapons, scan them for any biological or technological threats, then let them leave. We're not monsters. And their colony worlds? The quantum strikes?" Bo Young pulled up a display showing every Vorathi colony. Most were dark now, their technology disabled by the nanite weapons that had been secretly placed in their supply chains months ago. "Stop the attacks. They've surrendered. We made our point." Across Vorathi space, the attacks stopped as suddenly as they had begun. Power began returning to the colonies. Communications came back online. But the damage to Vorathi confidence was permanent. They had been shown how vulnerable they were, how completely humanity could destroy them if they chose to. On Mars, Commander Tay stood in his command center, watching his fleet return from their strike positions. Not a single shot had been fired. The mere presence of human ships appearing instantly near Vorathi worlds had been enough. The psychological impact was exactly what the silent protocol had been designed to achieve. Lieutenant Young approached him. "Sir, should we stand down to normal alert status?" Tay shook his head. "Not yet. Keep the fleet on high alert. Other species might get ideas after watching this. We need to show we're ready to respond to any threat." "Do you think others will try what the Vorathi did?" "No," Tay said firmly. "After today, I don't think anyone will dare threaten humanity for a very long time." At Europa Station, Dr. Yun He sat in her lab, trying to process what her research had become. The quantum weapons that had been used to strike across the galaxy were based on her mathematics, her theories, her work. She had built weapons capable of attacking anywhere in the universe instantly. And she hadn't even known she was doing it. Her assistant Dong entered quietly. "Dr. Yun, there's a message for you from Earth, from the Science Ministry." She opened the message. It was from her research director, the same person who had recorded that message in the weapons facility. "Dr. Yun, I know you must be struggling with what you've learned. Your research saved humanity. Without your breakthrough in quantum mechanics, we would have been defenseless against the Vorathi. You should be proud." Quote, proud. She didn't feel proud. She felt like she had opened a door that should have stayed closed. Her beautiful, elegant mathematics had been turned into tools of war. Yes, those tools had protected humanity. But what would happen next time? What if her weapons were used not for defense, but for aggression? She began writing a report, knowing it would be read by every major government in human space. The title was simple: The Ethics of Quantum Weapons. A warning from their creator. The Vorathi Emperor sat in his throne room, watching reports of his empire's humiliation. Human ships had appeared near every major Vorathi world simultaneously. His military had been unable to respond. Their weapons had failed, their ships had been disabled, and their colonies had been shut down like children's toys. His military command was in chaos. His advisors were panicking. Some were calling for continued resistance. Others were suggesting immediate total surrender. A few had already fled, stealing ships to escape what they feared was coming next. But the Emperor noticed something important in all the reports. The humans had stopped attacking the moment he surrendered. They hadn't destroyed his colonies. They hadn't killed his people. They had simply shown him that they could, whenever they wanted. A message arrived from President Bo Young. The Emperor hesitated before opening it. When he did, he found it surprisingly simple. Your empire will be restructured under Galactic Council supervision. Your military will be reduced to defensive forces only. Your colonies will be monitored. But your people will not be harmed if you accept these terms. We don't want to destroy the Vorathi. We want to ensure you never threaten anyone again. Your response is required within 1 hour. The Emperor called his advisors together. We have no choice, he told them. Accept all terms. The humans have won completely. End quote. My Emperor, his military commander protested. We still have forces that weren't affected by their attacks. We could regroup, rebuild, strike back. The Emperor looked at him with weary eyes. And then what? They've shown they can appear anywhere, anytime. They've shown they can disable our technology at will. They've shown they were willing to sacrifice their entire homeworld as bait in a trap. What kind of species does that? What kind of people are that? Prepared. That ruthless. That committed to survival. He paused, letting the silence fill the throne room. The humans didn't want this fight. We forced it on them. And they responded with total commitment. If we continue to resist, they won't just defeat us. They'll erase us. Accept the terms. At the Galactic Council station, Ambassador Quan received notification that the Vorathi Emperor had accepted all conditions. The war, if it could even be called a war, was over in less than a day. The council chairman approached Quan privately. Ambassador, the council wishes to discuss security arrangements going forward. Many species are concerned about human military capabilities. Quan raised an eyebrow. Concerned? You mean afraid? The technology you displayed today changes everything. Quantum weapons, instant transport across light years, nanite weapons that can disable entire planets. The Council must consider how to regulate such capabilities. Regulate? Quan's voice hardened. The Council did nothing when the Vorathi threatened us. You stood by and let them invade what you thought was an abandoned world. And now, that humanity has defended itself successfully, you want to regulate us? We want to ensure galactic peace, the chairman insisted. Then ensure it by preventing aggression, not by limiting victims' ability to defend themselves, Quan replied. Humanity will share some technology with allied species. We'll participate in council security discussions. But we will never again be in a position where our survival depends on the protection of others. The silent protocol proved we don't need protection. We need respect. The message was clear. Humanity had gone silent, revealed their true capabilities, and emerged as one of the most powerful species in the galaxy. The age of humans being pushed around, threatened, and dismissed was over. On Earth, 8 billion humans began emerging from their underground shelters. They had spent only 24 hours below ground, but it had been enough. The Vorathi were gone. The trap had worked, and the entire galaxy had witnessed humanity's transformation from victims to something far more dangerous. President Bo Young addressed her species in a broadcast from Seoul. The city was coming back to life around her, lights turning on, people returning to their homes. Today, we showed the galaxy who we are, she said. Not conquerors, not aggressors, but survivors who will do whatever is necessary to protect our species. The silent protocol was not revenge. It was deterrence. And it worked. May we never need to use it again. In orbit around Earth, human defense satellites and space stations reactivated. The planet that had seemed dead was alive again, its voice returning to the galactic communication networks. Music, news broadcasts, scientific data, and casual chatter once more filled the channels. But now, when other species heard that familiar human noise, they remembered the silence that came before it. They remembered what that silence had meant. Earth had gone silent, and the galaxy had learned to fear what came after. 3 months after Earth went silent, the galaxy had settled into an uneasy peace. The Vorathi Empire no longer existed as a unified power. Their territory had been divided into smaller, independent regions, each monitored by Galactic Council observers. Former Vorathi colonies were now self-governing, freed from imperial control. The Vorathi military had been reduced to small defensive forces, barely enough to protect against pirates. Commander Gorth, the Vorathi fleet commander who had led the invasion of Earth, was now working as a cargo ship pilot on a remote trade route. It was honest work, but a far cry from commanding 300 warships. He had been stripped of his rank, his pension, everything. The Vorathi government had made him a symbol of their failed aggression, a warning to others about the price of arrogance. He was loading cargo containers when a human ship docked at the same station. A woman in a human military uniform walked past him. She glanced at him, and he saw recognition in her eyes. She knew who he was. But she said nothing, just continued on her way. That was somehow worse than hatred. The humans didn't need to punish him further. His own people had done that. The humans had simply moved on, back to their normal lives, as if the whole incident had been a minor inconvenience. On Earth, life had returned to normal remarkably quickly. Seoul's streets were full again. People going to work, students attending classes, families enjoying parks. Na, Ambassador Kwan's sister, taught her classes as always. Her students sometimes asked about the day everyone went underground, but she kept her answers brief. We prepared for the worst, she told them. But we hoped it wouldn't be necessary. Unfortunately, someone made a bad choice, and we had to show them why that choice was bad. One student, a curious girl about 10 years old, raised her hand. Teacher Na, were you scared? Na considered the question carefully. Yes, I was scared. Being underground, not knowing what was happening above, wondering if we'd ever see the sky again. That was frightening, but I was also proud. Our whole species came together to protect each other. That's what made the fear bearable. At the Galactic Council station, Ambassador Kwan was busier than ever. Dozens of species wanted to establish better relations with humanity. Trade agreements, defense pacts, technology sharing arrangements, all coming to his desk faster than he could process them. The Council had created a new position, the Galactic Security Coordinator. They offered it to Kwan, but he declined. Instead, he recommended Commander Tay for the role. Tay had proven his ability to handle complex military situations with restraint, something the galaxy desperately needed. Tay accepted the position reluctantly. He left Mars with mixed feelings, knowing his time as a colony commander was over. His new role would require him to balance competing interests across hundreds of species. His first act as security coordinator was to establish the Mutual Defense Protocol, a system where member species could request help if threatened. But the rules were strict. Aggressor species would face immediate response from all members. The protocol wasn't just defended by words, it was backed by human technology. Dr. Yun Hei's research had been partially declassified. Not the weapons applications, but the basic quantum communication theory. She now led a team of scientists from multiple species, working to develop peaceful uses for quantum mechanics. Medical applications, instant communication for emergency services, scientific research that could benefit everyone. She gave a lecture at a major university on Europa, and the auditorium was packed with students from dozens of species. A young Vorathi student, one of the first allowed to study at human institutions after the war, raised his hand during questions. Dr. Yun, he asked nervously, how do you feel about your research being used as weapons? The room went silent. Everyone wanted to hear her answer. Yunhye took a moment before responding. I feel proud that my work protected humanity when we needed it. I feel sad that it had to be used that way, and I feel responsible for making sure that in the future, my research does more good than harm. That's why I'm here, teaching, Sharing knowledge. Trying to build something better. The Vorathi student nodded, seeming satisfied with that answer. President Bo Young was nearing the end of her term. She had decided not to run for re-election. The weight of ordering the silent protocol had aged her. She looked 10 years older than she had just 6 months ago. In her final address to the human government, she spoke about the burden of leadership during crisis. "We did what was necessary to survive," she said. "But we must never become comfortable with such measures. The silent protocol should remain what it was always meant to be. A last resort, not a first option. Our strength should make us confident enough to choose peace, not paranoid enough to prepare for constant war." Her successor, a younger politician named Tabine, promised to focus on peaceful development while maintaining the defenses that had proven so effective. "We showed the galaxy our teeth," Tabin said in his inaugural speech. "Now let's show them our heart." On the Vorathi homeworld, a new generation was growing up with the memory of their empire's defeat. Schools taught the history honestly, not trying to hide or excuse what had happened. Young Vorathi learned about the invasion of Earth as a cautionary tale about underestimating others. A Vorathi historian named Kelth published a book called The Day We Learned Humility. In it, he wrote, "We believed ourselves superior because we were strong. The humans taught us that strength without wisdom is just violence waiting to happen. They were stronger than us in every way that mattered, but they only used that strength when we forced them to. That is true power." The book was translated into hundreds of languages and read across the galaxy. It sparked discussions about military ethics, defensive versus aggressive postures, and the responsibilities that come with advanced technology. Ambassador Quan finally returned to Earth after 4 years at the Galactic Council Station. He went home to Seoul, to the apartment where he had grown up, where his sister Na still lived. They sat together on the balcony, drinking tea and watching the city lights. "Do you think we did the right thing?" Na asked him. Quan was quiet for a long time. "We survived," he finally said. "That's what matters most. But I wonder what we became in the process. We turned our entire planet into a weapon. We prepared for years to execute massive retaliation. What does that say about us?" "It says we're serious about protecting our children," Na replied. She was pregnant now, expecting her first child. "This baby will grow up in a galaxy that respects humanity." "I hope the respect comes from more than just fear," Quan said. Over the following years, humanity worked to prove that hope justified. Human ships provided disaster relief to species hit by natural catastrophes. Human doctors shared medical knowledge freely. Human engineers helped build infrastructure on developing worlds. Humanity became known not just for their frightening military capabilities, but for their willingness to help others. End quote. Commander Tay, in his role as Galactic Security Coordinator, mediated dozens of disputes. He always pushed for diplomatic solutions first, military intervention only as the absolute last resort. Under his guidance, the galaxy experienced its longest period of major wars in recorded history. Dr. Yunhei won the Galactic Science Prize for her peaceful quantum research applications. At the ceremony, she thanked her team, which now included scientists from 20 different species, including 3 Vorathi researchers. "Science belongs to everyone," she said in her acceptance speech. "Knowledge should build bridges, not weapons. I'm grateful that my research, which began as tools of war, has become instruments of peace. This is proof that we can choose what we become." The silent protocol remained in place, its details now partially known to the galaxy. Every species understood that if Earth ever went silent again, it would mean something terrible was about to happen. But as years passed without another crisis, the protocol became more of a deterrent than an active threat. Historians later called this period the Great Peace. 20 years without major galactic conflicts. Some species attributed it to better diplomacy. Others said it was economic interdependence. But most privately admitted it was because no one wanted to be the next Vorathi, the next species to learn what happened when you threatened humanity. Ambassador Quan eventually retired and wrote his own book, Reflections on the Silent Protocol. In it, he discussed the moral complexities of preparing for total war while hoping for lasting peace. The final chapter was titled, The Price of Safety. He wrote, "We made ourselves into something terrifying to protect what we love. The galaxy fears us now, but they also respect us. We trade with them, work with them, help them, but always, in the back of their minds, they remember the day Earth went silent. They remember what came after. And so do we. That memory keeps us safe, but it also reminds us of what we're capable of. We must never forget either truth." Na's child, a daughter named Hua, grew up in this new era. She learned about the silent protocol in school, studied the history of those tense days when humanity revealed its true nature to the galaxy, but she also grew up seeing humans and aliens working together, trading, learning, building friendships. When Hua was 18, she joined the Galactic Diplomatic Corps. Her uncle Quan came to her graduation. "Are you sure about this?" he asked. "After everything we went through with other species?" Hua smiled. "Uncle, you showed them we can defend ourselves. Now I want to show them we can be friends. Both truths matter." Quan hugged his niece, feeling proud and hopeful. Maybe the next generation would build something better than his had. Maybe they would be remembered for creating peace. Not just preventing war, on Earth, on Mars, on Europa, and across human colonies. Life went on. People worked, loved, built, created, dreamed. The weapons that had saved humanity remained in place, maintained and ready, but unused. Earth's voice continued to fill the galactic networks with music, news, ideas, and hope. And in the darkness between stars, in hidden places only humanity knew about, the quantum weapons waited, silent, patient, a promise and a warning. President Tay Bin, in his 5th year of leadership, gave a speech at the memorial built to honor the day Earth went silent. The memorial was simple, a large room that could be sealed and darkened completely, letting visitors experience the silence that had terrified the galaxy. "We built this memorial not to celebrate war, but to remember the cost of peace," Tay Bin said. In this silence, 8 billion humans waited in darkness, not knowing if they would ever see the sky again. They did it to protect their species. They did it because sometimes survival requires sacrifice. We honor their courage by working every day to make sure their sacrifice wasn't in vain, by building a galaxy where silence is a choice, not a necessity. The memorial became one of the most visited sites on Earth. Species from across the galaxy came to experience the darkness, the silence, the weight of what humanity had done. Many left with a new understanding. Some left with nightmares. All left with respect. 50 years after Earth went silent, the galaxy had changed completely. The Galactic Council was stronger, more effective at preventing conflicts. Technology had advanced, partly due to shared human innovations. Dozens of new species had joined galactic civilization, welcomed by an established order that valued peace. But everyone, from the newest member species to the oldest civilizations, knew one truth. Humanity had shown the galaxy what they were capable of on that day when Earth stopped talking and started acting. And while humans now focused on peace, building, and cooperation, the memory of what they could do remained. Earth's voice filled the cosmos with songs, stories, science, and hope. But underneath that noise, the galaxy always remembered the silence, the terrible, complete, absolute silence that had come before the storm. And in that memory lay the foundation of peace. Respect born from understanding, caution born from knowledge, and cooperation born from the wisdom that it's better to be friends with humanity than to be their enemy. The day Earth went silent had taught the galaxy a lesson it would never forget. And humanity having taught that lesson, worked every day to make sure they would never need to teach it again.